even as I'm like trying to sit and record this, I feel some stuckness. And yeah, what is this feeling? I guess it's this feeling that I've been trying to avoid all this time. I think for a long time when I was making my videos, I just I wasn't very emotionally attuned, and I just like I didn't realize like what I was feeling for a long time. And I feel like when I was posting or like recording these videos, I don't know, there was just like something that felt off about them. And I think that's why I stopped posting last year. It's not that I didn't want to. I think I was really just avoiding this feeling, whatever it is. And like I'm sitting with it now. And it's like this fear of getting it wrong, this fear of not doing it right, not performing. And I feel like that's what was happening with recording and making videos, is that there was all this pressure and expectation on myself to perform, to get it right, and to be articulate and effective in communicating things, and to not ramble and all that stuff. And just like feeling that pressure or expectation when I would sit in front of the camera like this. And it just didn't feel good. And I avoided it. And there is some part of me that just really was glad to just not post, just to like take a break. And there's also another part of me that just felt a lot of avoidance around this. And that avoidance disguised itself as me taking a break, and of course, the break goes on and on and on. And for a while now, I've felt this itch to want to get back to recording and posting again, but there was always like something holding me back. And now that I'm sitting with it, now that I'm quite literally in front of the camera again, just talking and filming this, it's like, oh, this is what I've been avoiding. This stuck feeling. And I don't want that anymore. I don't want this pressure or expectation around filming because it's just not enjoyable for me. And I feel like at times when I was last posting, it just felt effortful. Like I was trying to perform, like I was trying to be a certain way and to filter myself. And that's just not how I want to be. Because it's pretty fucking hard to filter yourself, at least at this point in my life, to filter myself and to not feel weird about it. Like I just feel when I'm being inauthentic. And the most obvious case is when I'm interviewing for jobs and whatnot, which that's its own update. But I was feeling that when I was sitting in front of the camera. And I don't want that. I want to have fun. And I'm having the most fun when I'm just talking. Just like this. Talking as if I'm talking to some friends. Because I've noticed there's even like this like slight difference in register or tone, like my body movement, like when I'm, I don't know, performing versus just talking with a friend. And the more aware I became of that gap, the more I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to look at it anymore. So I took a break. But I've felt this itch to start sharing again. That's what I've realized in the meantime. I've still been writing. I've still been, I mean, I guess that's my other creative endeavor. I've also been vibe coding, again, its own thing, but it was always YouTube and always writing for me at the start. And there's just something about writing that just doesn't scratch the same itch as recording does. I don't know, there's something about this that just feels different. I feel like with YouTube, I can share, I can literally talk about this. You can literally watch me just like sit in my discomfort and like make my way through it and be with it in a way that you don't see in a writing piece. Otherwise, it would just be like paragraphs of me just, I don't know, being like this. But really, it's like I find YouTube as a space for me to be in conversation and just like talk. And there's something really, really special and maybe self gratifying about being able to share my experiences and for other people to listen. And I felt that most when an 18-year-old watched one of my videos, the video I made about my stories from banking, which is at this point like 2 years old, which is insane to say, and reached out to me. We had a conversation, and I remembered through that conversation, like, why I do this, like, what I enjoy about YouTube. And it really is just this experience of storytelling, of being able to talk about my life, which how many spaces do you get to just talk about your life uninterrupted, without filter, hopefully, and for it to possibly be of benefit to people. That's the really beautiful thing is that just by sharing my experience and what I'm learning and discovering, even posting something like this where I'm allowing myself to be stuck on camera and post that is something that I wouldn't have done before, and also something that I hope resonates and connects with one of you maybe, and if not, that's cool too. Ugh, yeah, I miss this. I missed talking and sharing. It's not like I just like hearing the sound of my own voice. It's that I like sharing and hopefully my shares are of some sort of benefit to people. I think the videos I've made about working in banking, which are my most viewed videos, are just examples of that. How I can just share my experience, sit down, talk with the camera for who knows how long, and it just lives on forever. And people like this 18-year-old can find me and yeah, can be impacted by it. And that's a really special and touching experience that I don't get to have that often without this. And so I've been missing this. I've been missing sharing and posting, but I've just been what I realize now is just like afraid of this, afraid of the stuckness, afraid of things just like not feeling good. And even just being able to notice that feels like a big step for me. And I think an example that I want to share is just like with like lifting. I don't talk about it that much, but I used to powerlift in college and I got pretty strong, then I got injured, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna like get back and like surpass all my previous numbers, all my previous PRs. And like I tried like squatting and deadlifting and all that stuff again, and it just like didn't feel good. Like the joy just like wasn't there anymore when I mean for one I realized that it was just like motivated by this like insecurity, this lack that I was covering up by being this like strong dude in the gym. And just taking a step away from that felt so good. And I think like what I was encountering a lot with that was just like a being able to physically just like notice like, oh, this doesn't feel good anymore. What am I continuing to do it for? And then, oh, okay, I feel emotionally bad about this, so I'm just not going to do it anymore. And how, just like with YouTube, I was avoiding it. I was avoiding the feelings of being like not good at something, of like not being as strong as I used to be, like not being, in this case, like, I don't know, articulate or perfect or whatever the fuck it is. I was avoiding that. And it's just like funny to me how we don't notice that emotionally when things don't feel good. It's like it's, at least for me, like it's more noticeable when I physically don't feel good, but not like internally or emotionally. And that's been my journey, especially like the last year. Just like a lot of emotional growth, which I'll talk about another time. And just like being more attuned to when something just like doesn't feel good. And instead of doing what, because I have been doing since like the last time I posted, which is just avoiding the feeling, it's like instead I can just be with it. Just like, I guess you can just do that. I don't think I knew how to be with my emotions and like really be with them in a way without avoiding them or judging them. And like I'm 27 now, and like, so yeah. Ah, what else do I want to share? Just like what I want. Like I'm excited to start sharing again. I want to just like start sharing again more regularly, and I want this to be a space that like I look forward to coming to, that I can just come and talk about what I want and like things that I enjoy, even if it's like stuff that is like outside of my realm, like talking about vibe coding, like what's cool about that, sharing about things I've been building, and like not making myself have to be this kind of person, which I guess in the past was like this articulate guy who like knows his shit and is like wise and like I don't know, like blah 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 blah, like that, whatever that is. Like I'm not that person anymore. And I want to just show up as myself, as fully as I am right now in this moment and going forward when I post things. And I want to have fun. I want to have fun when I'm doing this because, like, if I'm not, then what's the point of having this, like, expensive camera set up and posting myself publicly on the internet if I'm not having fun? That just, like, why would you do that? So I want to have fun. I want to talk about things I enjoy, and I guess that's really it. To reiterate, I want to feel like I'm talking with friends. I want to feel like a friend because I was like trying to find the receipts, but way back when I started my channel in 2022, the entire intention was that it felt like you were talking with someone across the table or just seated outside or something, like a friend. And maybe I was trying to be too much of like an older brother before. I think I probably wrote that too. I wish I had the receipts, but I don't. But really, I don't. Actually, I don't like when my older brother is trying to be my older brother. I'd rather just be a friend who maybe happens to be older, maybe happens to be younger, but just a friend. A friend doesn't show up through a filter, doesn't try to like sound super articulate when they're trying to tell you a story and like maybe they're sharing a quote with you, but they're not being like blah, 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 fancy sounding shit, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just poking fun at myself, but yeah, that's what I want. So that feels good. That feels good to say. And yeah, it's funny, like I thought this was going to be like this, here's what I've been up to in the past like 15, 16 months. Here's these different areas of my life, like my relationship, work, and moving to San Francisco and how that's been. And I'm going to talk about that, but really this is just what I wanted to say. So, yeah, whew.